The time has finally come as we welcome you to the Mecca of Motorsports, getting ready to kick off Season 2 of the NNSCRA Duracell Cup Series. Speed Weeks has led up to this point, capping off our race week from the Daytona International Speedway. As in most sports, we end up having the big finale at the end of the season. Our biggest race takes place at the beginning of the season with the second annual running of the Daytona 500. It's going to be 50 laps of racing here today, and we've seen a little bit of everything here this week. We had a really good race in the Clash. We saw Michael Norman go to victory lane there. We had a very exciting pole day qualifying. It was not without incident. Matt Haas ended up winning that, obviously starting on the pole position here today. And then our two Gatorade duels, they were awfully exciting. We had a little bit of a wreck fest in Duel 1. Duel 2 came down to fuel mileage at the end, where we saw Benny Watson pass Michael Norman in the tri-oval to win. As Norman ran out of fuel, Matt McIntyre was the winner of Gatorade Duel number 1. The big story coming into this race, it's been all Toyota here at Daytona. Norman drives a Toyota, Matt McIntyre drives a Toyota, Benny Watson drives a Toyota, and our pole sitter for today's race, Matt Haas, is in a Camry. Now, obviously, a lot of this can be correlated to the fact that two very big teams in Michael Norman Motorsports and Joanna Atwood Motorsports moved over to the Camry stables, but regardless of that fact, definitely a strong showing for the Toyotas here this week, and we'll see if maybe they can cap it off with a Daytona 500 victory. So Haas will start on the pole position. Going to be a little bit of an interesting topic with him too, and we'll get to that in just a moment. But he will start alongside of Charles Sanford, the highest qualified Chevy, and then it's Toyotas all the way back through the remainder of the top six with Matt McIntyre, Benny Watson, Johnny Gardner, and Michael Norman.
Drivers, start your engines!
High starting Ford is Trey Wright. He is going to roll off from 7th. And I'm trying to look way back there. I can't even see a Dodge, although there's only two Dodges in the field with Ryan Brummer and Zach Rogers. But no doubt we will see them up towards the front at some point in this race. You take a look on the right side of your screen. That is your starting lineup for today's Great American Race. We do have onboard cameras that we will have during the course of the season. Each week, a Ford, Chevy, Toyota, and Dodge driver will carry onboards, and they will be randomly selected at each race. Our Chevrolet onboard today going to be the Wendy's onboard camera of the defending Daytona 500 winner Carter Friesen. Clash winner Michael Norman is the Toyota driver with the Rogue Energy onboard. Chris Dallerton, defending champion of the series, he's the Ford driver with the KFC onboard. The Dodge driver is going to be Zach Rogers today with the MSI onboard camera, and Dylan Young, Florida native, is going to be our helmet cam driver here today, graciously carrying the helmet cam for us, and he will be making his way through the field from dead last, the only driver who had to go to a backup car. Now, this big story about Matt Haas is, if you didn't tune into our first Gatorade duel, Matt Haas had some kind of an issue where he lost power going into turn 1. That's what ended up causing one of our wrecks that took place in that duel. He came to pit road. They got him back out there. He is up to speed. Now, he could not do an engine change, because if he did, he would be forfeiting his spot on the inside of the front row. So, a lot of questions as to whether that engine's going to hold on or not. We'll see if that's going to be the case during the course of today's event. 50 laps of racing. We may see the big one break out. We may end up seeing this race come down to green flag pit stops and fuel strategy. And last year, it came down to a photo finish between Carter Friesen and Mitchell Collins. Friesen, by half a car length, took the checkered flag. Here we go, though. Season 2 officially in the Duracell Cup Series in the Daytona 500 is green. Let's roll! Little overcast here today, so the track condition is going to be a little bit cooler, which means more grip and might mean more aggressive racing early on in this thing. Double wide, quite a ways back. You got to go almost towards the rear of the field before you get to 3 wide. Now we're going to go 3 wide at the front. Matt McIntyre with a big run and help from Johnny Gardner. He's going to try and take the lead into turn 3. Benny Watson up there on that top side, and we've seen it all week long, and we will probably continue to see it in today's race where that middle to outside line gets the better exit off of turn 4. It's Sanford and Haas who drag race to the line, and Charles Sanford will get the first official bonus point of the season, leading the first lap. Look at Matt McIntyre up the middle there. Help from Michael Norman. Boy, he had a nice run going into turn 1, but on the bottom they're lined up. That's Matt Haas, Johnny Gardner, Trey Wright. And now Gardner's going to shoot down to the inside for the lead. Trey Wright says, no thank you, I'm going into business for myself. He'll go 3 wide for the lead with help from Ryan Acosta. 3 wide, 4 rows deep up here at the front. As off turn number 4, Johnny Gardner trying to get the run on the top side with help from Matt Haas. He will succeed in doing so. He will clear, and he will lead the second lap of the day. Johnny Gardner last year at Daytona, he was the pole sitter, but ended up going to a backup car after getting involved in a wreck in his Gatorade Duel. Started the race from 35th, fought his way up at the closing stages to finish in 3rd. So for all those drivers that are back there at the rear of the field in the qualifying results, it's never over till it's over. Matter of fact, let's find out where Carter Friesen started the race. In the Daytona 500, Friesen started 5th. Driver that started 5th here today, we just talked about him, Johnny Gardner. Ryan Acosta is going to lead, and that will be the second Joanna Atwood Motorsports car to lead a lap here today. And here comes our first appearance by a rookie up towards the front. That's the 21 of Marcus Sacchi out of Team Chevy Autosport. Now into the second position, Vince Almriego with teammate Seth Cole there on that inside line. The 42 and the 72. And here comes another rookie now into the top 5. The 24 of Alexander Rowe, who went to a backup car after pole day qualifying. And see, where did he finish in his duel? He finished, I think it was 11th. Marcus Sacchi is going to be the first rookie to lead a lap this season as he bests Ryan Acosta at the line. And Alexander Rowe, a nice transition from the middle groove to the inside line now, is so following the tire tracks of Seth Cole. Still 3 wide all up here at the front. And that goes back to about 5-6 rows, I would say. Ryan Acosta now with the rear deck lid full of the Netflix BioShock Infinite Burial at Sea Chevrolet of Seth Cole, then the rookie of Alexander Rowe, and then he's got his teammate right behind him. In his final season, his swan song season, Benjamin Miles in the 33. He didn't tune into, I believe it was it's either pole day qualifying or the Clash, one or the other. When Michael Norman joined us in the booth, we were talking about the fact that Benjamin Miles has a Daytona 500 victory over in the Budweiser All-Pro Series. He was driving the number 25 Hertz Chevrolet at the time, so trying to get his second win, at least to my knowledge, in a Great American race. And first over here in the Duracell Cup Series, Ryan Acosta right now trying to make that 1 car, 2-3 car width to be able to block any run that happens to take place, whether it be on the inside or the outside line. He's been able to keep Seth Cole at bay. Now Seth Cole gets kicked up to the high side by Marcus Sacchi, and here comes Benjamin Miles, now 3 wide for the second position. Told you it wouldn't take long for a Dodge to get up to the front. 2-time winner last season, Zach Rogers, now up inside of the top 10. You see him in that middle line behind Marcus Sacchi. And here comes Austin LaPlante. We're starting to see the Northeast Motorsports cars up here towards the front. Alexander Rowe's up here, Benjamin Miles, and now the 48 of LaPlante. And to his inside, last year's runner-up, I should say, in the Great American Race, Mitchell Collins, who missed out by half a car length in getting the Daytona 500 victory. To Carter Friesen, drag race to the line. Seth Cole's going to edge out Ryan Acosta that time, but he's got no friends up there on the top side, so Acosta, with help from Benjamin Miles and Mitchell Collins, he's going to go back to the race lead. Oh, we got a wreck in the back! 2, 3, 4 cars involved at the rear of the field. An incident in turn 1. First caution of the day is going to come out on lap number 8. They will race it back to the yellow. And it looks like Ryan Acosta is going to be able to hold off Benjamin Miles. Question is, who's going to be second with Ryan Brommer getting a big run there on the top side? It looks like Ryan, ooh, wow, did he get Miles? Waiting for the ticker. Ticker says Brommer got him. So Ryan Acosta will be the leader. How about that? At the line, Toyota, Dodge, Chevy, Ford. All four manufacturers up inside the top four. And there you see the smoke lingering in turns 1 and 2. And it looks like the Daytona 500 may come to an early end for some drivers. Let's see who they were. James Qualls in the 54. A lot of damage on the right side of his machine. He's out. Ryan Butcher in the 78. Cody Lamas, the rookie in the 84. Florida native. A lot of damage on his machine. His teammate Michael Norman, our Clash winner, collected up in this one. Can't tell if there's damage as well to the 7 of Matt McIntyre. But that's 2 of the Michael Norman Motorsports cars involved in this one. And they've had a tremendous speed weeks coming into this race, with Norman winning the Clash and Matt McIntyre winning Gatorade Duel number 2. Doesn't look like anybody else was involved. As I stated, it was near the rear of the field, so less opportunity for drivers to have to try and maneuver their way through the wreck. No doubt everybody will be coming to pit road, taking the opportunity here under this caution. So this makes it interesting now as well as far as the fuel window. Fuel window here is about 15 to 16 laps, so with them being able to pit now, they'll be able to make it a little bit further, and might actually now, if my calculations are correct, they might be able to make this race now on only 2 more pit stops rather than 3. But as Ryan Acosta and the rest of the field make their pit stops, let's go back and see what brought out the caution for the first time here today in the Great American Race. See if we can figure out how this started going into turn 1. And I think they might have tried 4 wide. Ryan Butcher going into the corner there. James Qualls wasn't yet to his left rear quarter panel, and he moved up and crowded Cody Lamas, and that's what opened the door for Qualls to make it 4 wide. So obviously Ryan Butcher's car was not handling well, because it looked like that car didn't even turn in the entrance to the corner, and there you see it. It's just a Toyota sandwich. Matt McIntyre did get a piece of it there in the 7 with the right front. Don't know how extensive the damage is for him, but that is 3 of the Michael Norman Motorsports cars involved. And all 5 drivers involved were Toyota Camry drivers as well. We know that's taken James Qualls out of the race. We'll have to wait and see about Norman, Butcher, and Cody Lamas. And we are now going to take the onboard with Michael Norman and the Rogue Energy onboard camera. Well, Michael Norman was up on the top side, and I'm pretty certain when he heard his spotter say 4 wide, he probably knew this wasn't going to be good. We should get the 1 to green signal next time by. Pit road. It did not go without incident. A couple of drivers came back onto the pit lane. One of them, I think, has actually glitched in his stall for the moment. That's Jordan Lopez. He had some contact with rookie Casey Nanico when Nanico came out of his pit stall. And troubles as well for the 41 of Wyatt Quayle. He ran into the back of, I believe, it was Charles Sanford, as he was trying, no, I'm sorry, it was actually Keith Batson. As Batson was coming out of his pit stall, Wyatt Quayle did not get on the brakes in time, and he's got some front end damage now as well on his Camry. There is Lopez still sitting on pit lane, and he will probably go a lap down. There's Wyatt Quayle back on track. You can see that little bit of buckle to the Hershey's Toyota, and looks like he will still remain on the lead lap though. Also continuing on, you see Cody Lamas, Ryan Butcher, and Michael Norman, who were all involved in the wreck, so they will continue on, salvage what they can, which means that only 1 driver will be finishing out of the race after this incident, and that is the 54 of James Qualls. Tough start to this season for the driver who had a win last year at Martinsville, made his way into the playoffs as well. And James Qualls will definitely have to try and bounce back here in the upcoming races. So let's set the field for you as we've gotten the 1 to green signal here. We'll go back green on lap 13. Ryan Acosta is your race leader. Seth Cole will line up in second. Benjamin Miles third. Rookie Casey Nanico's up in fourth now with Austin LaPlante in fifth. Matthew Rodriguez runs sixth. Seventh is Marcus Sacchi. Vince Almriego in eighth. Ninth is Alexander Rowe. And completing your top 10 is Kyle Matthews. So 3 rookies up inside the top 10 here for this restart. Let's go a little bit further back. Ryan Brommer is 11th, and I think there might be some left side damage on his Challenger. Looks like he's got some damage just in front of the left rear tire. We'll have to see how that affects him. Obviously, they didn't want to give up the track position to come down and fix that. Cole Baker lines up in 12th. Adam Garcia 13th. 14th is Trey Wright. 15th will be Jack Mitchell. 16th is Mitchell Collins. 17th, William Brock. 18th now, Carter Friesen. Dylan Young, who started dead last, has worked his way up to 19th. And complete your top 20 is Sebastian Kukulon. Benny Watson 21st. 22nd, Johnny Gardner. 23rd is Levi McIntyre. 24th, Jessica Shelton. 25th is Zach Rogers. Rest of the top 30 are Charles Sanford, Chris Dollerton, Keith Batson, Derek Hamill, and Matt Haas. Then 31st, Carson Gum. 32nd, Jesse Turner. 33rd is Matt McIntyre. 34th, Jose Mills. Michael Norman's in 35th, 36th, Ryan Butcher, 37th, Cody Lamas, 38th, Wyatt Quayle. There's Jordan Lopez returning to the track in 39th. He is 1 lap down. And out of the race in 40th is James Qualls. Getting ready to go back green here on lap 13 of 50. And so if these drivers did get their cars completely full of fuel, then the next time we will see them on pit road will be somewhere around laps 28 to 30. And with the timing of that caution, that now does put these drivers in the window of being able to make it the rest of the way on 2 pit stops. Seth Cole now goes to the race lead. He had to wait for a restart to be able to get around Ryan Acosta, because before that caution came out, Ryan was doing a great job of keeping Seth Cole at bay. Casey Nanico there in the 77. Trying to get up there. I mean, I said this back, I believe it was in the duels. In a lot of series that I've run, Snickers Cup Series, Hershey's Cup Series, you end up having a rookie class, and there's always 1 or 2 rookies that always surprise you, and I would not be the least bit shocked to see a couple of rookies get victories this season to make their way into the playoffs. It always just seems to happen. Now, we mentioned about Ryan Brommer having that damage. It looks like he is off the pace as a result of it. Several drivers have been held up by him, and now some are getting around him. So he restarted in 11th, did not want to give up the track position that he had to come down pit road, but that might be a decision that will come back to bite him. And that damage on the left side is undoubtedly something that happened to him on pit lane. Don't know necessarily who he made the contact with, but it has certainly affected him. There is Carter Friesen making his way up towards the front, trying to go back-to-back in Daytona 500 starts. As up front, they are battling hot and heavy for the race lead. Nanico had it for a moment, Alexander Rowe had it for a moment, and now Austin LaPlante wants it as they're 3 wide for the top spot. Outside line going to get that run, so Casey Nanico is going to go to the point with Seth Cole right behind. Woo! Almost had contact between rookies there, Alexander Rowe and Marcus Sacchi. And something we got to follow here as well that we haven't talked about, but it was definitely a big story a couple of days ago, is the, I don't know if you can call it a rivalry, but there was definitely a little bit of heat between Zach Rogers in the 6 and Matthew Rodriguez in the 57. The 2 of them made contact in their duel. And it was in the tri-oval. Both cars went up and almost hit the outside wall, and then after the race was over, Matthew Rodriguez ran into the back of Zach Rogers under pacing. So we don't know if that whole issue has been resolved or not, but it'll be certainly interesting to see how they race each other if they manage to get side by side in the same area of the racetrack. Seth Cole back to the point. Help from Casey Nanico. Then you've got Alexander Rowe there in third, and he's going to have a pretty good run here with help from Mitchell Collins. And how about Dylan Young working his way now up into the top 5? Dylan Young started dead last. He was the only driver in a backup car for this race after he got involved in a wreck in Gatorade Duel number 1. But he has shown it's not where you start, it's where you finish, and just how easy it is to make his way through the field. He's up here inside the top 5 before we've even gotten to halfway. Now, we did have some drivers continue on. They were involved in that first wreck. Michael Norman, Ryan Butcher, and Cody Lamas. They were damaged, and my assumption is they will be off the pace, so we could see traffic come into play in this event. And in just a moment, we're going to find out where those drivers are in relation to the race leaders as Casey Nanico goes to the lead. And you see how he made the pass there and cleared Seth Cole for the position? That's what someone's going to have to do to make the inside line work through 3 and 4. And you see him be able to move up and block that outside line run. That's what you're going to have to do if you're going to be able to make a pass on the inside. Because if you're alongside the driver, going through 3 and 4, that outside line is going to prevail against you. So the leaders are now exiting out of turn number 2, heading for the backstretch. Let's see where those slower cars are. Jordan Lopez hitting the line now. Michael Norman and Wyatt Quayle right there. Cody Lamas, Ryan Butcher, Carson Gumb's back here with them. I don't know if Carson's got damage or not, or if he just got held up and now is having to draft with these slower machines. He's running the same speeds as they are, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he's off the pace. I don't see any visible damage on his race car. That's what the funny thing. Matt Haas, trouble for the pole sitter. He's got some damage there. Oh, I almost wonder if maybe he's the one that made contact with Ryan Brommer, because he's got right side damage. Ryan Brommer has left side damage. What if those were the two that got together on pit road? And Matt McIntyre, we saw he got a little bit of damage on the right front from that wreck. Obviously, that has affected him because he's way back here as well. So Jordan Lopez right now in 39th, entering into turn 2, or actually not at turn 2. The field is about a racetrack behind him. So it will be a while before they catch the first car. So right now we can focus on the battle up here at the front, which right now is between a couple of rookie stripe drivers, Alexander Rowe and Casey Nanico. Seth Cole now going to cross over, try and go for the top spot. He's got a teammate right behind him, the 11 of Cole Baker. Great run right now for the Arizona Ice-T Chevrolet driver. Cole Baker certainly looking for a much better start to this season than what he had last year. Baker struggled last season, no more so than during the playoffs. He finished out that season in the 38th position in points. The only other drivers that finished lower than him were Wyatt Quayle and Matt McIntyre, who both have not gotten their second season off to a great start, as the both of them currently off the pace. Both still on the lead lap, but not up to speed. There's Zach Rogers. Up the middle, 3 wide for the 3rd position. Ooh, there might have been some contact between him and Jose Mills, and look at this! Oh, we got trouble! McIntyre into the wall! And they're still wrecking. Caution's out. They're going through the grass. Oh, man. It's a little bit early for these drivers to be making pit stops, but the caution is out, and there were a couple of others that were involved in that wreck besides Levi McIntyre. LaPlante got a piece of it. Johnny Gardner and Dylan Young were in it. And we talked about Dylan Young working his way up through the field from dead last, and there you see he's got rear end damage. Well, with this caution coming out, it's going to be a big break for those drivers that hit pit road, because they will more than likely stay out when pits are open, and everybody else will probably hit pit lanes. So we could see Seth Cole probably cycle around as the race leader. Like I said, this was awfully early for them to be making their next round of pit stops. I expected them to be pitting about 5 to 7 laps later than this. But maybe they felt the fuel window was open. Whatever the case, though, it definitely led to some stacking up, and it definitely was a contributing factor to this second caution of the day. Let's take a look and see what brought out this yellow flag for the second time here in the Daytona 500. Just a case of nobody willing to give anybody any room, it seems. Take a look here as Levi McIntyre. You can see Seth Cole. I knew they were pitting because Seth Cole went way down there towards the bottom. So it wasn't like it was a surprise to everybody that he was coming to pit road. And, oh, you see right there, Carter Friesen moves up to give room, and he has both Austin LaPlante and Levi McIntyre to his outside. That sends McIntyre down into Kyle Matthews, and then sends him up in front of Dylan Young. Dylan Young got his rear end damaged because he got run into the back of by William Brock, who then got run into the back of by Johnny Gardner. And there you see Austin LaPlante gets clipped. He goes up and gets the outside wall, and he might have actually gotten Dylan Young in the rear as well. As all these drivers race to the caution, you see everybody else on the right side of the screen come into pit lane, and I see some damage on the right side of Marcus Sachi's machine. I don't know if that was from pit road or if that was from something here on track. Nonetheless, though, it brings out the caution for the second time here today, jumbles things up as far as pit road, but at least it's not one of those cautions that comes out and traps half the field a lap down. More than likely, everybody will still be on the lead lap, and this is a big break for drivers that were off the pace to be able to catch back up, but I don't think anyone's going to be out of the race as a result. Why don't we take our helmet cam on board with Dylan Young? Here's what Dylan Young saw with absolutely no time to react. And now our KFC on board with Chris Dollerton. Getting ready to go back green. The top two cars did not pit under this yellow flag. Dylan Young is going to be the race leader after he got involved in that wreck. Same for Johnny Gardner, so they will start first and second. The first driver that pitted is Casey Nanico, lined up there in third. Now, he was a part of the group that came to pit road when that caution came out. He'll restart third ahead of Ryan Acosta and Seth Cole. That'll be your top five, followed by Benjamin Miles, Jessica Shelton, Adam Garcia, Derek Hamill, and Benny Watson. That's going to be your top 10. Keith Batson and a couple of others stayed out. Batson stayed out to lead a lap. He came to pit road. Zach Rogers was a part of that group as well. So they will be starting closer towards the rear of the field for the restart. I believe Benjamin Miles might have also been a part of that group. But, no, Benjamin Miles actually up here with this group. Jordan Lopez will line up on the inside, still trapped off the lead lap. We do have another driver that has retired from the race as well, Michael Norman. The damage just too much, and they have brought him back behind the wall, so he will finish today's race in the 39th position. The other drivers that stayed out with Zach Rogers and Keith Batson but came to pit road were Jesse Turner, Cole Baker, and Wyatt Quayle. So we are past the halfway point of this race. We will go back green with 24 laps remaining. They still have one more pit stop to make. And for Dylan Young and Johnny Gardner, maybe two more pit stops still to make as the green flag waves once again. Johnny Gardner, you can see, definitely off the pace with that damage after getting involved in the stack-up when Levi McIntyre spun on our last caution. And there you see the speed differential between Casey Nanico and Dylan Young. Although Casey Nanico, I don't know if he thought Dylan Young was going to throw a block on him or not. Oh, Dylan Young's out of fuel, I think. And he's holding up everybody. He's got to get that car down to the apron, and he does. Johnny Gardner might be out of fuel as well. Question of can they all get by without incident? Looks like they did. Johnny Gardner is out of fuel. Dylan Young's out of fuel, so that strategy did not work out for them. And up front, it's a mano-a-mano between Seth Cole and Casey Nanico. And then you've also got Jordan Lopez just in front of them. He's hoping and praying for a caution right now because he'd be back on the tail end of the lead lap. But that really broke the field up. The top two, along with the Lap down on tail end of lead lap car. Jordan Lopez is fluctuating every corner. They have gapped all the way back to third place, which right now is Ryan Acosta battling with Benny Watson. But with the draft, these guys are going to be able to run down those top two very, very quickly. Last time by, it was 2.6 seconds. And we'll see just how quick they're going to close in there. As you see, Johnny Gardner has still not made it to pit road. Dylan Young, he's finally made it onto pit lane, but not before losing at least 2 laps. So that strategy did not work out for him at all. Neither did it for Johnny Gardner. That time by, about a half second was chipped away from first back to fourth. Well, actually, from first back to third, I should say. And so that means that within 3-4 laps, these top two are going to get reeled in, maybe even quicker if they stay single file up here towards the front. How about Jose Mills? Right now, unofficially in the 4th position. He ran towards the back for a good portion of the first half of this race. And now the 4-time winner up here towards the front. Johnny Gardner still sitting there on the apron. I think he's going to have to teleport to pit road, but since he is off the racing surface, I don't think they're going to throw a caution. So a tough break there for Johnny Gardner to start off the season. Same for Dylan Young. Dylan Young, though, was able to make it at least to his pit stall, so he'll get back out on track. Johnny Gardner's going to lose a lot of laps, not just from running out of fuel where he did, which was technically at the start-finish line, but also going to have to teleport to his pit stall, and that's going to lose him even more laps on track. As we're focused here on Alexander Rowe, but this is the battle for third. Up ahead, you can see there is the race leader in second place, and Johnny Gardner is still not teleported to pit road. That car must still be crawling, and since it's still moving forward, it is not actually going into his pit stall. As soon as Alexander Rowe gets into the wake of either Jordan Lopez or Casey Nanico, those three are going to be sitting ducks. And I think he's got the draft now off the 38. Up the inside comes Chris Dollerton. And a couple of S3 Motorsports teammates. I'm going to be messing up on that team name all season long, I can tell you. Charles Sanford, Jessica Shelton working together there, and they've got their other teammate there, Kyle Matthews, in the middle. So all 3 S3 cars up in here for the moment. As Seth Cole continues to lead, but there's company at the back door, and it's about 25 other hungry drivers who want that race lead. Dylan Young, you see, back on track right now in 37th. Johnny Gardner just finished service on his car. He's in 38th. Dylan Young is 2 laps down. Johnny Gardner currently 4 laps down to the race leaders after both of them tried staying out. I think they were hoping for a quick caution, but they were literally on fumes coming to the start-finish line for that restart. I highly question that strategy, and it's going to put them in a little bit of a divot to have to dig themselves out of after they leave Daytona. Trey Wright started in 7th. Faded back, moves back to the front, now to 2nd, bringing a fellow blue oval along with him and Chris Dollerton, but Dollerton moves back to the bottom, back to Charles Samper, who's helped move him up to the front so far. And Dollerton now going to try for 2nd place. Ooh, Jessica Shelton moved up to the middle groove there to get some help from Alexander Rowe. Obviously realizing that middle groove is much better out of the corner than the inside. They're catching Johnny Gardner in the 14. Where is Johnny going to go to get out of the way of these race leaders? It's like he's going to stay up high, so Seth Cole will go to the bottom. He's going to hold up that outside line for the moment. Trey Wright and Jose Mills, a couple of teammates there. They got to find a way to get Johnny Gardner into an area where they can all make it by, and right now Gardner is holding them up, although I can't tell. It looks like Gardner might be a little bit slightly up to speed, and now they're going to kick him way up to the outside line, so it looks like they will maybe forge a lane to be able to get by the somewhat off the pace 14 car. Chris Dollerton tried to take the lead from Seth Cole, but he did it in a bad spot using that inside line off of turn 4. So we'll have to wind it up and try again here going into turns 1 and 2. 3 wide for 3rd. Here comes the defending Daytona 500 winner, Carter Friesen, now up into the podium. He's bringing William Brock along with him. Brock, a 3-time winner last season. And now Friesen's going to duck out of line for second. He's got help from a fellow Chevrolet. That's William Brock. Chevy's ganging up on the Fords. As a matter of fact, we've only got, if my calculations are correct, 8 Fords in this season's field. 3 out of BOA, 3 out of Young Motorsports, and 2 out of Rock and Ranch Racing. So, in essence, Ford has become the new Toyota from last season, where we only had 4 Toyota entries every week last year with Backmarker Motorsports. It's now definitely a field comprised of Toyotas and Chevrolets this season, as Carter Friesen ducks to the inside, but he's going to need a lot of help to get pushed ahead of Seth Cole before they get out of turn 4. And he's got no friends down there. Jessica Shelton again moving up there to the middle groove. Whoop! Seth Cole pitting. So the pit stop's beginning again. Is the 21 out of fuel? No, he's still up to speed. I guess it was just the checkup of drivers coming to pit lane. Seth Cole coming to pit road. So this could maybe be the final pit stop of the day. And people probably wondering, well, why is Seth Cole coming to pit road so early? His teammate Vince Almarigo as well. But remember, Seth Cole spent a good portion of that last run out in front. Like we saw in Gatorade Duel number 2 when Michael Norman ran out of fuel coming to the checkered flag. He had spent most of his time out in front. And when you're out in front, you're creating the draft for everyone else behind you. And you are using up the most fuel. It looks like we got more drivers coming to pit road! Shelton! Contact with Johnny Gardner. Saves it. Comes back down in front of traffic and is going to get to pit road, but she's got damage now on the right side of her machine after there was contact between Johnny Gardner and Jack Mitchell coming to pit lane. So Shelton's going to have a longer pit stop than she had planned for. That turned the race lead over, I believe, to Carter Friesen. Yes, it did. You got 5 drivers up here all together. Friesen, Dollerton, Brock, Sanford, and Baker. We'll see who's going to pit from this group, as the field has definitely gotten split up now with that near caution taking place out of turn 4, and everybody from this group pits with the exception of Cole Baker. So that's interesting. 2 of the Backmarker Motorsports Chevrolets come to pit road at the very start of these pit stops. One of them, in Cole Baker, is going to stay out and maybe be one of the last. That turns the lead over to Baker. Mitchell Collins in second. Zach Rogers third. Matt Haas in fourth. And I believe they are the last drivers. Nope, Jack Mitchell also stayed out. As did Derek Hamill, Sebastian Kukulon, Jesse Turner, Wyatt Quayle, and Keith Batson. They are the last drivers to hit pit lane. As look at this. Wow, this is a hornet's nest. Marcus Sacchi now coming back out on track after his pit stop. Cole Baker will give up the lead to pit. Mitchell Collins is in. Zach Rogers will stay out an extra lap. Sebastian Kukulon stays out, as does Turner. Pretty sure Zach Rogers and Jesse Turner were those groups that stayed out the extra lap under caution and then came to pit road. So they're a lap better than everybody else on fuel. So that's why Zach Rogers is able to stay out, as well as the 47 of Turner. I don't think Kukulon was part of that group, though, so I'm surprised he's able to stay out this extra lap. And boy, it makes me nervous seeing these drivers merging back on track with other cars that are still needing to come to pit road. Jack Mitchell is one of those, and right now he is trapped on that outside line. He's having to lift so he can get to pit road. Cuts right down between Sanford and Matthew Rodriguez as he's in, along with Wyatt Quayle, Sebastian Kukulon, Jesse Turner, and Zach Rogers. So will that turn the race lead over to Seth Cole, who started the green flag pit stops? We're going to have to wait and see here once everything cycles out. A couple drivers coming out ahead of Seth Cole. Chris Dollerton is one of those. William Brock's ahead of him. Cole Baker's ahead of him. Carter Friesen's ahead of him. That might actually be the 37 who might come out the race leader. It's going to take a while for it to cycle around, and so at this point we are at 9 laps to go. But it's going to take a while before we actually get to that point. Yeah, Friesen comes out in 6th. He was behind Quayle, Turner, Mitchell, Kukolan and Rogers, and he just passed Zach Rogers. So that was a pass for the lead. So the defending winner of the Daytona 500 right now is your race leader. Cole Baker would be second, Chris Dallerton third, William Brock fourth. And then you've got this pack here from fifth place on back with Mitchell Collins, Benny Watson, Ryan Acosta, Matthew Rodriguez, Vince Almriego, Charles Sanford, Marcus Sachi, Benjamin Miles, Seth Cole, Jose Mills, Alexander Rowe, Trey Wright, Carson Gum, and Adam Garcia. Now, if this group can catch this group, then they will definitely run down Carter Friesen. And we could have as many as 25, 26 cars still in the hunt for this victory, as that was their last pit stop of the day. They are now racing to the checkered flag. Carter Friesen had about a 3-second lead back to Cole Baker, but he's all by himself. Baker with William Brock and Chris Dallerton, as well as the lap car of Dylan Young. They're going to make up a lot more speed than Carter Friesen. And then this group has a lot more drivers in it, and they're going to make up even more speed. So it is going to come down to positioning, no doubt about it, as to who's going to win this race. Dylan Young coming to pit lane. So he breaks off from that group of four. That'll be his final pit stop of the day, as that time by what was about a 3.1 second gap cut down to 1.3 seconds back from Friesen to Cole Baker. And then you've got that big group back here looming as well, and they will probably catch before all is said and done. Is Carson Gum on the lead lap? Tail end of this group? Yes, he is. And remember, Carson Gum was actually way back in the field, trapped behind some damaged race cars before that second caution came out. So that second caution certainly saved him. And here we go. Cole Baker has caught Carter Friesen. And this group of four is now about to become a group of 24 with 7 laps remaining. Cole Baker for the lead on Carter Friesen. It's all going to come down to right place, right time, and we had this group breakup. Someone off the pace? No, I guess not. Guess they all decided not to go 3 wide anymore. Guess that was the whole deal. Looked like a much bigger pack when they were all racing 3 wide. So right now, last car in this group, I believe, is in the 17th position, and that is rookie Marcus Sachi. So 17 cars have a shot at this victory. And Cole Baker hits the line with 6 laps to go. We've got Jack Mitchell there in the 0-1, who's got some damage after he and Johnny Gardner got together coming to pit road. He is now exiting out of turn 2. The field exiting turn 2 now. They got about a little less than a straightaway before they catch him. That slower car could come into play. Then you got about a couple corners ahead, Jessica Shelton, who was caught up in that exchange between Gardner and Jack Mitchell, and she got damaged because of that. As Cole Baker up to the top side, going to take away that momentum from Matthew Rodriguez, and here comes Carter Friesen back to the bottom. What a feat it would be for Carter if he were to get himself back-to-back Daytona 500 victories. I mean, get me a bookie and tell me what the odds are of a driver being able to do that. I would say pretty slim. And look who's behind him! Mitchell Collins, the driver he edged out for the 500 victory. The drivers who finished 1-2 last season are 1-2 right now, but here comes Adam Garcia with a big run in the 12. 3 wide for the lead. And they're catching Jack Mitchell. Where is the 0-1 gonna go? Where is Carter Friesen going to go? He's going to stay on the top side. He'll get around Jack Mitchell. It's the bottom lane that's going to get held up for the moment. And now it's going to be the top side that gets held up. Matthew Rodriguez gets boxed in. It's now mano a mano. Cole Baker, Carter Friesen, 1-2. But then you've got the Fords lined up there with Mitchell Collins and Trey Wright. And then there's the Toyota of Benny Watson, who had that last-minute victory against Michael Norman in the second Gatorade duel. He'd love to get his second checkered flag of the season, or of the weekend, as they now try and make their way around Wyatt Quayle, who holds up Carter Friesen. So now it's Baker and Watson up front. They're going to catch Jessica Shelton, too, before this race is over. 3 laps to go. Baker and Watson 1-2. Everybody scattering to get around Wyatt Quayle, who is now boxed in, our defending Daytona 500 winner. Benjamin Miles now going to move to third. How about the rookie Marcus Sacchi up there in the fourth spot? William Brock trying to move to fifth as we got a battle for the lead. Watson to the inside of Cole Baker, headed for 3. Look at the run Benjamin Miles has got. But he can't move low because Marcus Sacchi's there. I think if he had that inside line cleared, he would have dove down to make it 3 wide off the corner. 2 laps to go this time by. You got about maybe 10 cars up in this lead pack. No, 11 cars up in this lead pack. And it's the 11 out in front of Cole Baker. Matthew Rodriguez trying to catch back up. Save for Chris Dollerton, Ryan Acosta, Jose Mills. They might be able to catch if they continue 3 wide in this lead pack. And they are closing on the slower machine of Jessica Shelton. Benny Watson's going to control which lane's going to move when they catch that 0-2. He's going to move to the bottom. Shelton's going to give it to him. Baker cuts down in front of Marcus Sacchi. The outside line going to get held up now. Benny Watson's going to have to make that Hearst Toyota high, wide, and handsome for these final 2.5 miles. Baker to the bottom. He's got help from Chevrolets. Marcus Sacchi's down there. Seth Cole's down there. Drag race at the line with the white flag in the air. 1 lap to go. Cole Baker the leader. Could Marcus Sacchi pull the ultimate upset and win in his first career Duracell Cup Series race? Seth Cole's right there as well. He's had one of the strongest cars of the day. They're going to have to make the move here on the back straightaway. Seth Cole trying to take second away from Marcus Sacchi. Here comes Adam Garcia with help from teammate Mitchell Collins. Nobody makes a move yet on Cole Baker. Can they make a move on him out of turn 4? Cole Baker, after a dismal season last year, he's going to pick up his first checkered flag of his Duracell Cup Series career. Cole Baker wins the Daytona 500. What a way to start off the season for Cole Baker. As stated earlier, Cole Baker finished 38th in the points last season. No wins, only 1 meager top 5, 9 top 10s. Backmarker Motorsports made the choice to move from Toyotas over to Chevrolets. And Toyotas do not sweep the weekend as Cole Baker picks up his first career Duracell Cup Series victory, and it takes place in one of the biggest races of the season, the Great American Race. And a 1-3 finish for Backmarker Motorsports. And the meat and the sandwich, how about the guy that's going to come away with Rookie of the Race, Marcus Sacchi, in the 21. What a battle there at the end. But Cole Baker is going to come away with the victory. And remember, Carter Friesen won this race 1 year ago. And Carter Friesen at the end of the season came up 1 point short of winning the championship away from Chris Dollerton. So Cole Baker, has this Daytona 500 victory put him in the playoffs? Gonna have to wait and see. Seth Cole gonna finish the day out in third. Adam Garcia, great run for him there in fourth. Great to see some of these guys that struggled last year start off the season so well this year. You got Baker, who was 38th in points last season. He wins here today. Adam Garcia finished 34th in points last season. He gets 4th place. You see Benjamin Miles down there in 7th. He was 28th in points last season. So great to see these drivers who struggled last season getting great performances to start up this season. You got Benny Watson there in 5th. Mitchell Collins brings it home in 6th. So he really likes the Daytona 500, I guess, as his last 2 finishes were 2nd and 6th place. We mentioned Miles in 7th. How about the defending champ Chris Dollerton starting off the year right with an 8th place run? Trey Wright brings it home in 9th. And Matthew Rodriguez is going to complete out the top 10. Then it's Ryan Acosta, 11th. Charles Sanford in 12th. Jose Mills, 13th. Vince Almriego, 14th. And the last car to finish up in that lead pack in 15th place was William Brock. Carter Friesen obviously not going to be very happy with Wyatt Quayle. He looked like he was going to go for back-to-back Daytona 500 victories, but the slower car had him drop all the way back to finish in 16th place. Alexander Rowe will finish in 17th with Kyle Matthews, Zach Rogers, and Sebastian Kukulon completing the top 20. We look on down through the remainder of the finishing results from today's race. We had 32 cars finish on the lead lap of the 38 that finished. Jessica Shelton, Jack Mitchell, Jordan Lopez, Wyatt Quayle all finished 1 lap down. Dylan Young 3 laps down after he ran out of fuel when we went back green on our second restart. Same for Johnny Gardner. He finished 5 laps down. And 2 drivers finished out of the race after our 2 cautions here today. Michael Norman in 39th and James Qualls in 40th. So that is going to do it here today from the Daytona International Speedway. Cole Baker is your Daytona 500 winner for Season 2. Hope you guys enjoyed today's race from Daytona. Hope you guys enjoyed this week overall. It has been a wild one, and what a spectacular finish. If you did, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, become part of the crew today. We have shown you full opinion results, and these are your point standings heading into next week. Next week, we're going to go to Manassas. It gave us a great fuel strategy race last season. Hoping the same can be said this season. You're not going to want to miss it. That'll be coming up next here on the schedule. Until then, I've been Seth Cole, and you've been watching a production of the NNSCRA Offline Racing at its best.